20 years ago today. I don't know if you remember. I remember it really, really vividly. I was working in the House of Commons at the time, and that speech we just heard from Tony Blair talking about the hand of history. I can vividly recall him saying this. This was such a change for the country when we did see that the Northern Ireland Agreement had actually been signed. It was a peace deal signed 20 years ago. It was absolutely historic, and it brought an end to, well, the long-standing troubles. Well, of course, not everything has been perfect ever since, and of course we've had returned to Westminster rule in the province in recent months as a result of failure for the various different parties to agree a deal to share power there right now. But what is the prospect of the Good Friday Agreement holding, particularly in the wake of Brexit? Well, let's talk to former Northern Ireland Secretary, Tory MP Theresa Villiers, who joins us now. Good morning to you, Theresa.
Good morning.
There's a lot of talk about the Northern Ireland peace deal and how Brexit in particular could actually threaten it. Is that something that could now, 20 years on, be undermined?
I believe that the commitment in the Belfast Good Friday Agreement to Northern Ireland's future being exclusively determined by democracy and consent and absolutely non-violent means, that is as strong as ever. And I really believe that whatever the outcome of the Brexit negotiations underway, the commitment of the people of Northern Ireland to that democratic path to determine their constitutional future really is unshakable. So I think some of the sort of scare stories that are around at the moment aren't justified because of the confidence I have in the commitment of people in Northern Ireland to peace.
I mean, it's certainly in terms of the benefits economically have been huge and socially huge in Northern Ireland. But there is still an issue with Northern Ireland where it's very peculiar politics where the parties of the centre have been almost driven out, and those who wanted a consensus, and the popular vote has moved towards Sinn Féin on the Catholic side, DUP on the Protestant side. We do still see an incredible polarisation of politics along sectarian lines, very, very different to the rest of the UK.
You're right. Politics is quite polarised on sort of community lines, which does make things difficult. It does mean that the political settlement with mutual vetoes sometimes seizes up, as we've seen in recent months. But I mean, again and again, over the past sort of 20 years, Northern Ireland's political leaders from a whole range of different parties have shown that they're able to compromise, they're able to come together to work for the interests of Northern Ireland. So whilst it is depressing that there's been no government and the political institutions have been suspended for so long, I believe that, with determination, with leadership, I think Northern Ireland's leaders can come together again and they can make it work and get those institutions running again.
Now, you were a Brexiteer campaigning for Brexit. There were warnings given ahead of the Brexit vote in 2016 that there would be problems in terms of the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland in the wake of us leaving the European Union. Barry Gardner, the Shadow International Trade Secretary, has got in trouble for calling this, the Good Friday Agreement, this is the shibboleth of British politics, and how, look, this basically saying, look, these are scare stories, this is just being overplayed. Do you think that Northern Ireland and that border is actually now being used as a tool to damage Brexit by Remainers?
I think we have to respect the concerns of people who are concerned about your potential implications. I think on all sides there is a recognition that we really, really need to keep the border on the island of Ireland as open and free-flowing as possible, whatever the outcome of the negotiations in relation to Brexit. And I think it's right that the Irish government, the UK government, the European Commission have all said that is vital because, one aspect of the progress that's been made in relations between North and South in the island of Ireland over the last 20 years is, closer economic ties. And so, there would be potential issues with, imposition of hard border checks. That's why all sides are determined to avoid that. I believe that it's perfectly possible to do that. We can implement the result of the referendum, respect that result, while still having a free-flowing border in between north and south.
Bringing things back to the British mainland, I know that today you're attending the London Mayor Sadiq Khan's summit on knife crime, along with the Home Secretary and many other MPs of all sides. What do you think is going to come out of that summit? What do you think should be done to tackle the huge spate of violent crime we're seeing on our streets?
We need a clear commitment to work together across parties, across different organisations. All the evidence demonstrates that whilst a tough policing response is important in tackling, this completely unacceptable rise in the murder rate, we also need action on a whole range of fronts by local authorities, by the mayor, by schools, by the NHS, working together to intervene early to try and prevent these terrible tragedies from happening in the first place.
Well, this is the issue, isn't it? It's all very well talking about police numbers, and there's been quite a big battle over police numbers and whether or not that has made a difference in terms of the number of crimes. But the fundamental thing is the idea that someone thinks that knifing someone or shooting someone is an appropriate response to a turf war or to a perceived slight on social media.
I think so. I mean, even as you say, there's been this intense sort of political dispute about police numbers, and in London they've stayed sort of broadly static. But most people, I think, have acknowledged that the causes of this sort of upsurge in homicides are complex. It's simply not possible to pin it down to one particular cause. So just as the causes are diverse, I'm afraid the solutions have to be as well. And that's one of the reasons why I welcome the fact that the Mayor is bringing elected representatives together from across London to, express our absolute determination to tackle this. It's completely unacceptable that we've seen violent crime rise in this way.
Theresa Villiers, thank you so much for joining us. Former Northern Ireland Secretary, Tory MP, Brexiteer, obviously relevant to that conversation regarding Brexit. Always like to give you the stance of my guests so you know where they stand.